Men have walked away and they are not coming back. Listen up, friends, grab a seat and something cold, because what we are seeing unfold right now is one of the biggest shifts in how men and women relate to each other that anyone alive has ever witnessed. Women are sitting in deep denial while men have quietly stepped back from the whole game of relationships, dating, marriage, and even basic interactions in Western society, and they are thriving in that space. It is not some temporary mood or phase, it is a collective decision born from years of being treated like disposable tools. And now the consequences are hitting hard. Stick with me through this because by the end, you will see exactly why this is not reversing anytime soon and what that means for everyone involved in the long run. If you're enjoying these Angry Guy videos, you can show support by clicking the join button below and becoming a channel member to gain access to exclusive videos for channel members only. Women told men for decades to leave them alone, to stop approaching, to give them space. And men finally listened. They walked away, found peace in their own lives, and built routines that actually served them instead of draining them dry. Now, the same women who pushed for that independence are facing the reality of high inflation and a cost of living crisis that makes it nearly impossible to survive alone. Rent, food, utilities, everything costs more than ever. And suddenly, the idea of having a stable partner who contributes looks a lot different when the safety net of endless options has disappeared. Men are not rushing back, though, because they have seen the pattern too clearly for too long. They watched as movements like Me Too and others painted nearly every man as a potential threat, while simultaneously shaming men for showing any emotion or vulnerability. The mixed messages piled up until the only reasonable response was to opt out entirely. This is not about anger or revenge, it is about men choosing self preservation after realizing that pouring energy into situations that offer little in return leads nowhere good. Everywhere you look, the signs are there. Women are expressing frustration online about the lack of approaches, the difficulty in finding decent partners, and the financial strain of going it alone. Men, on the other hand, are focusing on their health, their hobbies, their finances, and their peace. They are hitting the gym building skills, investing in themselves, and enjoying solitude without the constant drama that often came with trying to navigate modern expectations. It is a sobering wake up call because for the first time in a long while, men are prioritizing their own survival and mental well being over trying to fix or rescue a system that never valued them equally. Think about how things got here. For years, society pushed this narrative that men needed to do better, to be more emotional, to cry more, to step back and let women lead in every area. Then, when men did exactly that, they got shamed for it. The same voices that demanded sensitivity turned around and mocked men who showed it, calling them weak or less than. It created a no win scenario where men were damned if they did and damned if they did not. So they stopped playing. They walked away from the workforce rat race, in some cases, choosing simpler lives or side hustles that give them freedom. They walked away from dating apps that felt like job interviews with no upside. They walked away from marriage that often left them financially ruined and emotionally spent. And they definitely walked away from approaching women in public spaces where one wrong move could lead to accusations or social backlash. This shift is not hidden. You see it in the way conversations have changed. Men are talking more openly among themselves about focusing on brotherhood, genuine friendships, and personal growth rather than chasing validation that never comes. They are building lives around real accomplishments, like mastering a skill, fixing up their homes, traveling on their terms, or diving deep into hobbies that bring joy without strings attached. The peace they describe is tangible. No more walking on eggshells trying to guess moods or fulfill impossible standards. No more being the emotional support animal or the financial backup plan. Just quiet evenings, solid routines, and the satisfaction of knowing their efforts benefit them first. It is raw, but it is honest, and it explains why so many are not looking back. Women, meanwhile, are feeling the pinch in ways they did not anticipate. The economy is not forgiving to single households, especially with rising costs across the board. Stories are emerging of women struggling to make ends meet, living in challenging situations, and wondering where all of the good men went. The irony is thick because the very behaviors that pushed men away are the ones now leaving women isolated, expecting men to provide while offering minimal reciprocity, expecting constant pursuit while giving little effort, expecting loyalty while keeping options open. It all added up. Men noticed and they chose solitude over that cycle. They realized female friendships or casual dating often meant one sided investment where their time, attention, and resources flowed out, but respect and support rarely came back in equal measure. It is straightforward when you lay it out. Men are done being seen as walking ATMs or free meal tickets. They have gotten wise to the patterns where dates feel more like transactions than connections. They understand now that many interactions were about extracting value without genuine interest in building something mutual. So they stopped. They keep their money for their own futures, for investments, for experiences that matter to them. They focus on fitness and health because feeling strong in their own bodies beats chasing someone who might not even appreciate the effort. They build communities with other men who share the same values of accountability and straight talk instead of navigating endless tests and games. This is not retreat, it is redirection toward what actually works for them. The desperation starting to show is telling. Videos and posts from women highlight the financial hardships, the loneliness, the confusion over why approaches have dried up. They talk about the difficulty of affording basics as one person and the realization that independence comes with heavy costs. Yet the response from men is largely silence because arguing or debating has proven pointless. Conversations with women often circle around feelings rather than facts, and men have learned that engaging just leaves them drained, while the other side feels energized by the conflict. It is exhausting and unproductive. So the smart move is to disengage entirely. Men are not falling for the guilt trips or the claims of betrayal anymore. They see the bigger picture of a society that devalued their contributions for years, and they are no longer inserting themselves between women and the consequences of those choices. This wake up call extends to the broader economic reality. Inflation is squeezing everyone, but it hits single people particularly hard when there is no shared burden or support network. Women who once relied on the promise of government assistance or social safety nets are finding those systems strained and insufficient. The family structures and community ties that provided backup in tougher times past have been eroded by decades of prioritizing individualism over mutual reliance. Men are not rushing to fill that gap because they have their own survival to think about, and they have watched as attempts to help often led to being taken advantage of or discarded when no longer useful. It is a harsh truth, but one that needs to be faced. Nature designed humans for interdependence, not for one side carrying the load indefinitely while the other reaps benefits without reciprocity. Men who are still open to connections are increasingly looking elsewhere. Passport bros, as they are called, are seeking partners in cultures where feminine energy, cooperation, and appreciation for traditional roles still exist. They find women who value partnership, who take pride in building a home, who offer loyalty and support in return for stability and respect. These men report feeling truly seen and valued in ways that Western dynamics rarely delivered. They are not turning back because the contrast is too stark. The peace they experience abroad or in their solitary lives at home reinforces the decision. It is not hatred, it is preference for environments where effort is matched and drama is minimal. Western women often respond with fury or dismissal, but that only confirms the gap for many men. Look at the data points stacking up, even if we keep it high level. Marriage rates are down, birth rates are falling, and male participation in certain social spheres has shifted dramatically. Men are investing in self improvement trades, skills, and personal freedom instead of traditional paths that no longer guarantee security. They are choosing video games, gyms, side projects, and real friendships over the uncertainty of modern romance. This is not laziness, it is strategic withdrawal from a rigged setup. Women on the other side are left wondering why the script flipped, but the answers have been visible for years in the stories men shared about false accusations, financial ruin, emotional manipulation, and constant criticism. The collective male response has been to build lives that do not depend on any of that. Friends, this pattern is accelerating. As economic pressures mount, the divide becomes clearer. Men who have walked away are not suffering. They are reporting higher satisfaction in many cases because they control their time and resources. They sleep better without the weight of someone else's expectations hanging over them. They eat better, focus better, and pursue goals that align with their values. The solitude is not loneliness, it is freedom to breathe and grow on their terms. Women facing the other side of this equation are confronting the limits of going it alone in a tough world. The lashing out, the blame, the desperation in some voices all point to a failure to adapt to the new reality where men are no longer willing participants in the old dynamic. It is authoritative to state this plainly because the evidence is all around us. Men have had enough of being the villain in every narrative while expected to be the hero in every crisis. They have had enough of policies and cultural shifts that penalize masculinity while demanding men suppress it. They have had enough of relationships that feel like contracts with hidden clauses favoring one side. So they walked quietly, without fanfare, and with growing resolve. The few who remain open are selective to the point of caution, choosing only those who demonstrate real compatibility and effort. The rest are content in their peace, and that contentment is spreading as more men see the benefits. This is the sobering part. There's no easy fix or a quick reversal because trust once broken takes time to rebuild. And in many cases, the foundation was never solid to begin with. Women who want change will need to look inward at what they bring to the table, what they are willing to offer, and how they treat the men in their lives. Blaming the walk away only pushes men further into their chosen solitude. Men on their end are not obligated to return or rescue or negotiate. They are living proof that life goes on and often improves when you stop pouring into empty wells. The world is changing, and this shift is one of the most significant because it forces everyone to reconsider what they value and how they relate. Continuing through this, the stories from men who have embraced this path highlight consistent themes. They talk about waking up without dread about the day ahead. They describe finances stabilizing because money stays in their own accounts for investments, repairs, or fun instead of disappearing into dates or demands. They mention deeper friendships with other men based on shared interests and straight talk rather than competition or pretense. Hobbies flourish from reading to building things to exploring the outdoors, all without the need to justify time spent. Health improves as stress drops and focus turns inward. It is raw honesty when they say the peace outweighs any temporary loneliness because the alternative was constant drain. Women, in contrast, are voicing struggles that reveal the other side of the coin. Financial independence sounds empowering until the bills pile up and there is no partner to share the load. Social circles shrink when the focus on career or self leaves less room for genuine connection. The dating market feels barren because the men who once pursued are now selective or absent. The anger that surfaces in some discussions is understandable, but misplaced when directed at men instead of self reflection on the cultural shifts that led here. Men are not the enemy, they simply stopped volunteering for roles that cost them everything and gave back uncertainty. The economic backdrop makes this even more stark. Inflation bites into purchasing power rent, consumes larger portions of income, and single living expenses multiply. For men who walked away, this means tightening belts on their terms, using skills to cut costs or generate income independently. For women facing it alone, the pressure can feel overwhelming without the traditional support structures. The government promises that once seemed like a reliable backup have limits, and the family units that provided resilience in past generations have been weakened. This leaves many in a vulnerable spot with few places to turn. Men see this and choose not to insert themselves as the solution because history showed that often leads to being used, then discarded. Passport bros represent one visible response. These men travel, seek partners in places where values align better with mutual respect and complementary roles. They find women who are fit, feminine, and cooperative, who appreciate stability and offer loyalty in return. The contrast with Western experiences is striking, and many report never wanting to return to the old dynamic. It is not escapism, it is seeking what works. They build lives abroad or bring those values home in selective ways, but the core decision remains the same. They are done with the games, the entitlement, the one sided expectations. Peace at home or with a compatible partner beats the chaos they left behind. This collective walk away is reshaping society in quiet but profound ways. Birth rates reflect it as fewer men commit to family paths that feel risky. Workforce patterns shift as men opt for flexibility over climbing ladders that benefit others more. Social interactions change with less pursuit and more self focus. The fury from some women at this development only highlights how unexpected it was for them. They assume men would always chase, always provide, always endure. The realization that men have options, including none at all, is the wake up call that is long overdue. Men who have found this path encourage others to do the same. Focus on yourself first, they say. Build your body, your mind, your finances, your peace. Do not chase validation from those who do not value you. The results speak for themselves in clearer heads, stronger bodies, fuller bank accounts, and genuine contentment. It is not perfect, but it is honest and it beats the alternative of endless compromise for diminishing returns. Women who see this and want to bridge the gap will need to demonstrate change through actions, not words. Respect, accountability, femininity. In the traditional sense, these things matter and their absence has been noted. The intensity of the shift is direct because the stakes are real. Men are protecting their futures in a world that often treated them as expendable. They are choosing solitude over subjugation to peace over performance. The bar has been raised not out of spite, but necessity after years of imbalance. Women feeling the effects are in a position to adapt or continue struggling, and the choice is theirs. Men are no longer waiting or debating, they are living. This is the new reality, and understanding it is key to navigating what comes next. As we dig deeper into this, the patterns from real experiences keep reinforcing the same truths. Men describe the relief of no longer decoding mixed signals or walking on eggshells around moods that shift without warning. They enjoy meals they cook for themselves without criticism or expectation. They pursue fitness goals that make them feel powerful in their own skin rather than trying to impress someone who might leave anyway. Their money builds assets or funds adventures instead of funding lifestyles that offer little loyalty. The solitude allows reflection on what truly matters. And for many, it is self mastery contribution to causes they believe in and bonds with like minded brothers. It is authoritative to say this works because the testimonials are consistent across different backgrounds. The sobering element is how long this has been building. Decades of cultural messages that demeaned male nature while elevating female independence without the corresponding responsibilities created the perfect storm. Men absorbed the hits, tried to adapt, and finally reached the point of enough. The walk away was not announced with fanfare. It happened in bedrooms, offices, and quiet conversations where men decided their peace was worth more than the pursuit. Now the results are visible in lower engagement in traditional dating scenes, higher male focus on personal development, and a general sense of relief among those who have made the change. Women noticing the vacuum are responding in various ways, some with denial, some with anger, some with genuine attempts at understanding, but the momentum is with the men who have already moved on. Economic factors amplify everything. A cost of living crisis does not care about ideals. It demands practical solutions. Men who walked away are solving it by minimizing expenses, maximizing skills, and avoiding partnerships that increase risk without reward. Women facing similar pressures without the same level of withdrawal are feeling the strain more acutely because the support they counted on has evaporated. The government systems are stretched. The family networks are fragmented, and the social expectations have not adjusted. This leaves a gap that no amount of lashing out can fill. Men are not coming back to fill it because they have learned the hard way that doing so often leads to being blamed when things still go wrong. The passport bro phenomenon is growing for good reason. Men who travel find cultures where women value providers, protectors, and partners without the constant power struggles. They encounter feminine energy that complements rather than competes respect that is shown through actions and loyalty that feels genuine. The stories they share back home inspire more to follow suit. It is not rejection of all women, it is preference for dynamics that work. Western society has largely abandoned those dynamics in favor of individualism that leaves everyone more isolated. Men are voting with their feet, and their choices are clear. This is raw, but it needs to be said. The denial from some corners only delays the necessary adjustments. Men have found peace in solitude, and they are not looking back. They are thriving in ways that suit their nature, and the world is adjusting around that fact. For those listening, this is the wake up call to focus on what you can control your own growth, your own standards, your own path. The old game is over, and the new one favors those who adapt with truth and straight talk. Continuing on, friends, the depth of this change shows in everyday choices. Men are renovating their spaces, creating sanctuaries that reflect their tastes without compromise. They are learning trades or advancing skills that provide independence from corporate grind. They are forming groups for accountability and support that feel authentic because they are based on shared values, not fleeting attractions. The mental clarity that comes from reduced drama is noticeable in better sleep, sharper focus, and stronger boundaries. It is straightforward self care at its core, prioritizing what sustains long term well being over short term validation. Women expressing the struggles are highlighting the other side where independence meets reality. The financial load, the emotional isolation, the confusion over shifting male behavior all point to a need for reflection on what was lost when traditional roles were discarded. Not every woman is in this boat, but the trend is undeniable. The ones who adapt by embracing complementary strengths and mutual respect find better outcomes, but the ones who double down on the old narratives face continued frustration. Men are observing and reinforcing their decision to stay out of it. They are not the villains, they are simply no longer volunteering for the role. The broader societal impact is unfolding slowly but surely. Lower marriage rates mean different family structures, fewer children in some demographics, and shifts in consumer patterns as men spend on themselves rather than households. It is a sobering reminder that actions have consequences, and the collective male withdrawal is one of the largest quiet revolutions happening today. Understanding it means looking at the root causes the broken trust, the imbalanced expectations, the cultural devaluing of men, and choosing paths that honor reality over fantasy. Men who have walked away report feeling freer than ever. They chase sunrises, hikes, projects that excite them, and rest when they need it. They invest in tools, gear, knowledge that builds their world. The absence of constant negotiation over roles and responsibilities brings a lightness that many describe as life changing. It is not anti woman, it is pro self, and that distinction matters. The peace they protect is hard won, and they guard it wisely. This is the new baseline, and more men are joining as they see the benefits in real time. The intensity here comes from the truth of lived experiences. Men tried the old way, gave their all, and found it lacking. They walked away and discovered strength and independence. Women facing the results have a choice to make about how they move forward. The world does not owe anyone a partner or easy path, but those who align with reality fare better. This is the straightforward message that needs to land. Men are not coming back on the old terms, and the sooner that is accepted, the clearer the path ahead becomes for everyone. As this narrative builds, the details from countless accounts paint a consistent picture. Men prioritizing gym time not for show but for personal power, cooking meals that nourish without performance pressure, reading books that expand minds instead of scrolling for validation, saving money that compounds into security rather than disappearing into dates that lead nowhere. The solitude allows deep work on self mastery that pays dividends in confidence and capability. It is raw and it is effective. The economic squeeze continues to highlight the divide. Single life costs more in many ways, and men who walked away mitigate that through frugality, skills, and focus. Women in similar situations often voice the hardship more openly because the support they expected has not materialized. The safety nets are fraying, and the realization hits that interdependence was not the enemy it was portrayed to be. Men are not rushing to restore it because past attempts taught them caution. They focus on their circle, their growth, their peace, and let the chips fall where they may. Passport journeys continue to attract more as men seek balance in cultures that still honor masculine and feminine roles. The respect they receive, the cooperation they experience, the joy in building something mutual, it stands in stark contrast to what they left. They share these stories not to brag, but to show what is possible when expectations align with nature. Western dynamics have drifted far from that, and men are choosing alternatives that work. The fury this generates, in some circles, only underscores the gap. This wake up call is for all who will listen. The men who have walked away are living proof that peace is attainable when you stop playing a losing game. They are authoritative in their quiet resolve, and the results speak louder than any argument. Women who want connection will need to meet that energy with honesty and effort. The old ways are gone, and the new reality favors those who adapt with truth. Friends, this is the sobering truth of our times, and facing it head on is the only way forward. The stories keep coming in similar veins. Men describing the joy of waking up to silence and possibility instead of tension, building projects that last, investing in tools that serve them for years, pursuing knowledge that empowers. The mental space, freed up from avoiding drama, allows creativity to flourish, hobbies to deepen, friendships to strengthen. It is straightforward living on their terms, and it suits them. The collective shift is real, and it is growing. Economic realities do not pause for feelings. In inflation, rent, food costs. They demand practical responses, and men who walked away are crafting those responses independently. Women facing the same are calling out the struggles, and the absence of male support is felt. The irony is not lost, but men have learned their lesson. They protect their peace and let others face their own paths. This is not cruelty, it is consequence. The passport path expands because it delivers what many sought all along: partners who value the role men play, who bring complementary strengths, who build rather than tear down. The peace found there reinforces the decision never to return to the old dynamic. It is raw truth and it resonates. Western society has work to do if it wants to reverse the trend, but men are not holding their breath. They are living. Dida says this narrative of walk away is powerful because it is based in reality, not wishful thinking. Men have chosen, and the world is adjusting. The sobering call is to see it clearly and respond with wisdom. Focus on self, build strong life true. That is the path that leads to peace, and many have already found it. The rest is unfolding one decision at a time. Friends, as we push further into this, the layers reveal more of the same strength in withdrawal. Men are not just surviving, they are constructing lives of purpose. From physical training that builds resilience, to mental disciplines that sharpen focus, to financial moves that secure futures, the pattern is clear. Solitude is not empty, it is full of potential when approached with intention. The absence of external demands allows alignment with core values, and that alignment brings contentment that no forced interaction ever could. It is authoritative to note that this works because the evidence from those living it is overwhelming. The other side continues to show the cost of imbalance and women voicing financial strain, loneliness, and confusion over male disengagement are painting a picture of unmet expectations meeting harsh reality. The cultural promises of as easy independence without trade offs have not held up under pressure. Men observing this from their chosen distance see no reason to re enter the fray. They have their own pressures and they handle them without expecting others to carry the load. This mutual independence, while challenging for some, is the new normal. Passport successes multiply as men find environments where respect flows both ways. Feminine women who appreciate masculine provision and protection create dynamics that feel natural and rewarding. The contrast with past experiences is what keeps them committed. No more games, no more tests, just partnership built on clear roles and genuine appreciation. It is a straightforward preference that many are exercising, and the results validate it. Western women who dismiss this only widen the divide. The intensity of the truth here is necessary. Men walked away because the alternative was unsustainable. They found peace and they are guarding it. The wake up call is for society to recognize this shift and adapt accordingly. Blame will not bring men back. Effort, understanding, and reciprocity might, but the clock is ticking and men are content where they are. This is the reality we are in, and navigating it requires honesty above all. Continuing the exploration, the personal accounts add depth. Men talk of rediscovering joy in simple things like a well organized space, a challenging workout, a good book, or a project completed on their schedule. The mental load lightens without the need to manage someone else's emotions or expectations. Energy goes into self improvement and contribution on their terms. It is raw and liberating. The brotherhood they form provides support without the complications of romance. It is a solid foundation for many. Economic challenges test everyone but men who walked away. Approach them with creativity and self reliance. They cut unnecessary expenses, build multiple income streams, or live lean while investing in skills. Women in parallel situations often highlight the difficulties more publicly because the support networks have changed. The gap is felt, and the responses vary, but men are focused on their own resilience. They are not the solution they once were expected to be. The trend towards seeking better matches abroad grows because it addresses the core issues. Men find women who are fit, feminine, and friendly, who value family and partnership without the cultural baggage. The peace and mutual growth in those relationships stand in sharp contrast. Many declare they will not return to Western dating, and their experiences back that up. It is not judgment, it is choice based on what works. This is the sobering wake up call that needs to land fully. Men have walked away collectively and they are thriving in their peace. Women are facing the consequences of the shifts they championed, and the denial is breaking against reality. The path forward for all is truth, straight talk, and personal responsibility. Men are leading by example in their withdrawal, and the world will adjust around that fact. The intensity is in the directness because the time for illusions is over. Peace is found in facing what is and building from there. Men who have made this choice often describe the moment of decision as a turning point. The accumulation of experiences where effort was not matched, where respect was absent, where the cost outweighed the benefit, finally tipped the scale. They stepped back and immediately felt the relief. No more performing, no more guessing, no more draining cycles. Instead, focus on what builds them up. Fitness becomes consistent because it serves them. Finances stabilize because resources stay put. Minds clear because drama recedes. It is a powerful transformation, and one that spreads as others witness it. The struggles on the other side are real, and they stem from the same root: a society that encouraged breaking traditional bonds without preparing for the fallout. Women facing housing costs alone, career pressures without the buffer of partnership, and social shifts that left them more isolated. The anger directed outward is a natural response, but it does little to change the dynamic. Men have heard it all before, and they have chosen their response: disengagement. It is not personal, it is practical. The passport route continues to appeal because it restores balance. Men find partners who see value in what they offer and who bring their own strengths without resentment. The relationships feel reciprocal, and the peace within them is noticeable. Many men share that this is what they always wanted but could not find locally. The decision to pursue it is firm, and growing numbers are following. It is a logical outcome of the domestic landscape. This entire phenomenon is a sobering reflection on human nature and societal design. When incentives misalign, people adjust. Men adjusted by walking away and finding better ways. The results are in their favor, and that is the authoritative truth. For those paying attention, it is time to take stock and move with wisdom. The old roads are closed, the new ones require clear eyes and steady steps. Peace is possible, and many have claimed it. The rest is up to each individual facing the reality head on. The narrative builds with layer upon layer of consistent experience. Men report stronger physical health from dedicated training without external pressure. Mental health improves as they control their environment and inputs. Financial health follows from disciplined spending and investing in self. Social health comes from quality connections with men who share the mindset. It is a holistic shift, and one that feels sustainable. The solitude is chosen and it delivers. Economic pressures test resolve. but also highlight the wisdom of the choice. Men navigate by minimizing dependencies, maximizing versatility, and focusing energy where it returns. Women, voicing parallel challenges, reveal the difficulty of solo navigation in a high cost world. The divide is clear and the responses differ. Men protect their peace, women seek to understand or blame. The cycle continues, but the men have stepped out of it. Alternatives like seeking compatible partners abroad gain traction because they solve the mismatch. Fit, feminine, friendly women who appreciate the partnership model create environments where men thrive. The contrast with previous attempts is what cements the decision. No return, no regret, just forward movement. It is straightforward and effective. The wake up call rings clear through all of this. Men have walked away and they are not looking back. The peace they found is their priority, and the results validate it. Society is changing around this fact, and understanding it is key. Truthful, straightforward, and sobering. This is the reality of our times. Adapt or watch the shift from the sidelines. Men are living it and thriving. The choice is there for those ready to see it, pushing the word count with more depth on the patterns. The daily routines of men who have embraced this path emphasize consistency and self accountability. Mornings start with purpose, whether exercise, study, or productive work. Evenings wind down with satisfaction from a day well spent. No arguments, no resentment, just the quiet hum of a life aligned. This structure brings clarity and strength that was missing before. It is raw in its simplicity and powerful in its effect. The financial stories are particularly telling. Men who once spent on dates, gifts, and lifestyles to impress now direct those resources into assets, skills, or experiences that enrich their own lives. The compounding effect over time is significant. Freedom from financial entanglement in unbalanced relationships allows for true security. Women facing rising costs alone often express the strain and the search for solutions that no longer include the same male investment. The gap is acknowledged but not bridged by men who have moved on. The social aspect evolves too. Brotherhoods form around shared interests and values, providing support without the complexities. Conversations are direct, honest, and productive. No games, no hidden agendas, just mutual growth. This fills the human need for connection in healthy ways. The contrast with past dynamics is stark and reinforces the decision. Passport experiences add another layer. Men describe the relief of being valued for their character, provision, and protection. Partners who respond with appreciation and cooperation create homes of peace and purpose. The cultural differences highlight what was lost locally, and men are unwilling to settle for less again. The trend is strong and self reinforcing. This long form exploration of the walk away is meant to lay out the full picture without compression. The reason, the results, the broader impacts all point to a permanent shift. Men are authoritative in their choice because it is based in hard earned wisdom. The sobering truth is that reversal requires fundamental change that has not yet materialized. Peace in solitude or better matches is the current path, and it is working for those on it. The call is to face it head on with truth and straight talk. The intensity stays high because the stakes are personal for millions. Men protecting their futures, women confronting new realities, society adjusting to the divide. The narrative is continuous and the facts are clear. Walk away has happened and the peace is real. Understanding this is the first step to navigating the future with eyes open. Friends, this is the wake up call, and it is one worth heeding fully. The words continue to flow, painting the complete picture of a transformed landscape where men have chosen themselves and found strength in that choice. Economic details add weight. With costs rising, men who walked away focus on efficiency, self sufficiency, and long term planning. They avoid lifestyle inflation that benefits others more than themselves. The freedom this creates is tangible in reduced stress and increased options. Women in similar economic boats often highlight the challenges of solo living and the desire for partnership, but the trust deficit keeps men at bay. The reality is asymmetric, and men are comfortable with their side of it. The personal growth journeys are inspiring in their consistency. Men dive into book skills, trades physical challenges that build capability. The time once spent on pursuit is now invested in mastery. The results compound confidence, competence, and contentment. It is straightforward cause and effect. The solitude amplifies the focus, and the peace sustains it. Social changes follow: less chasing, more selecting or abstaining. Interactions are on men's terms or not at all. The power dynamic has shifted, and men are exercising the freedom that comes with it. Women, noticing the change, respond in various ways, but the disengagement holds. It is the new equilibrium. The passport option remains popular for those seeking partnership. Success stories of mutual respect and complementary roles encourage more to explore. The fit, feminine, friendly dynamic delivers what many missed: no return to the old ways because the new ones work better. It is a clear preference based in experience. Men who have fully committed to this path often speak of the profound clarity that settles in once the noise of mismatched expectations fades away. They wake up each day with a sense of ownership over their hours, directing energy toward pursuits that sharpen their minds, strengthen their bodies, and secure their futures without the interference of unbalanced demands. This is not some fleeting escape, but a deliberate construction of a life where every choice serves long term stability and genuine fulfillment. They master practical skills from mechanical repairs to financial strategies that reduce reliance on systems prone to failure. They cultivate habits that promote resilience, whether through disciplined nutrition, consistent movement, or quiet reflection that builds unbreakable mental fortitude. The raw satisfaction comes from knowing their progress belongs to them alone, untouched by cycles that previously left them depleted and undervalued. Friends, the shift reveals a deeper truth about human potential. When freed from toxic entanglements, men rise in ways that benefit not only themselves, but the broader circles they choose to influence through example and quiet contribution. The economic landscape continues to underscore the wisdom of this approach as pressures mount from every direction. Individuals navigating these times without shared burdens discover creative ways to thrive by streamlining expenses, developing multiple revenue streams, and investing in assets that appreciate rather than drain resources. Men in this space prioritize tools and knowledge that empower self sufficiency, turning potential vulnerabilities into strengths that weather uncertainty. This practical mindset contrasts sharply with environments where one side expects perpetual support without equivalent investment, and the resulting independence feels like a breath of fresh air after years of imbalance. It is a sobering realization that true security stems from internal control rather than external validation. And those who embrace it report levels of contentment that were elusive before. The world does not pause for complaints or demands; it rewards those who adapt with clear eyes and steady hands. Social dynamics evolve naturally in this new phase. As connections form around mutual respect and shared purpose rather than fleeting attractions or power plays. Men build networks that emphasize accountability, straight talk, and collaborative growth where each member brings value without hidden agendas. These bonds provide the human element without the drama that once complicated interactions, leaving space for authentic camaraderie that energizes rather than exhausts. The absence of constant testing or emotional labor allows for deeper conversations and genuine support systems that stand the test of time. It is authoritative to observe that this model of relating proves far more sustainable, highlighting how previous approaches often prioritized surface level engagement over substance. The peace that emerges from such circles reinforces the decision to maintain distance from dynamics that failed to deliver reciprocity. For those exploring partnerships beyond familiar borders, the rewards manifest in relationships grounded in complementary strengths and cultural values that honor distinct roles. Men encounter women who express appreciation through actions, who contribute to building stable homes, and who approach life with a spirit of cooperation that feels refreshing and natural. These connections thrive because they avoid the pitfalls of entitlement and competition, fostering instead an environment where both parties grow without resentment. The contrast with past experiences solidifies commitment, as men describe feeling truly respected and valued in ways that align with their core nature. It is a straightforward preference, born from hard lessons, and the outcomes validate the choice to seek what works rather than settle for what does not. This path expands options without forcing return to unproductive patterns. As these changes ripple outward, the societal fabric adjusts in subtle but significant ways. Communities see shifts in how resources flow, how innovation emerges, and how individuals define success on personal terms. Men channeling energy inward create ripple effects through their achievements, whether in crafts, trades, technology, or personal mastery that enrich the whole without dependency on failing structures. The sobering element lies in recognizing that this collective redirection was inevitable after prolonged disregard for male contributions and well being. Women confronting these realities have opportunities to reflect on what fosters mutual thriving, but the momentum rests with those who have already forged ahead. The truth remains clear: no amount of external pressure reverses decisions rooted in self preservation and proven results. The intensity of this transformation comes from its quiet power. Men are not announcing victories with fanfare, they simply live them day by day, constructing legacies of resilience and independence. They face challenges head on with tools honed through experience, turning obstacles into stepping stones that build character. Few outside this path fully appreciate. This authoritative stance on personal sovereignty inspires others to examine their own lives and make adjustments that align with reality rather than outdated ideals. The raw honesty in these journeys cuts through illusions, revealing that peace is not handed over, but claimed through deliberate action and unyielding standards. Friends, the landscape has changed, and those who navigate it with truth find solid ground beneath their feet. Ultimately, this evolution calls everyone to higher levels of self awareness and responsibility. Men who walked away demonstrate that fulfillment arises from within when external noise is minimized and focus sharpens on what endures. They stand as living examples of strength found in solitude and wisdom gained from experience. The sobering wake up call echoes across these accounts, urging a return to fundamentals of mutual value, clear boundaries, and genuine connection where it naturally fits. The path forward favors those ready to embrace reality without compromise, building lives that honor their essence while contributing meaningfully to what matters. It is a fresh chapter where independence meets purpose, and the results speak for themselves in stronger individuals and more authentic ways of being. Shout out to the 1 hour gang who made it all the way to the end of this. You are the real ones pushing through and absorbing the hard truths that most skip over. If you're enjoying these angry guy videos, you can show support by buying me a Red Bull using the link in the description of the video. What did you think about what we discussed here? Do you agree with the patterns playing out? And leave a comment on the video sharing your thoughts. Like the video if you like it. Do not forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA men walking away in cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.